Hello everybody, my name is Hafrisha from poltan.org and we're driving the brand new Mercedes-Benz E350e AMG line. Now, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles or PHEVs are not exactly brand new in Malaysia. The C350e and the BMW 330e have been around since last year, and the Volvo XC90 T8 that was launched in 2015. This type of vehicle has been gaining popularity among Malaysian buyers. But there's one question that's common among potential customers. Are PHEVs any good for long-distance highway drives? The very best thing about PHEVs is that you can run on full electric mode when you're going slowly, like in parking lots or in city traffic. Right there and then, you're not burning any fuel, you're not releasing any emissions, so perfect, right? But on the highways, it's a different story. You'll be relying mostly on the engine without getting much benefit from the electric motors. And in the case of this E350e, you're also carrying along about 300 kilos worth of electric motor and battery. So back to the main questions. Is the E350e plug-in hybrid any good for highway drives? What kind of mileage can you get? And if you're going to do a lot of miles on the highway, is this going to be a good buy? So we're going to answer all those questions. We've planned a fuel test driving up from PJ all the way up to Penang with 4 adults on board. So say hello to Joe and Kamal behind me, both our videographers, as well as Patrick in the back, our photographer. And besides, I really didn't want to do this drive all alone. So this is going to be a real world test, traveling full up, 4 adults, all our luggages, to see what the real world mileage is. This is also a test of the car's boot. The E350e has a smaller boot than the standard E-Class because there's a step on the boot floor to house the hybrid battery. So, you only get 400 litres instead of 540 litres in the standard E-Class. But we still managed to fit all our things in. That's 4 overnight bags with our camera equipment with no problems. It's really not as bad as the C350e with its tiny 335 litre boot. But first, the car itself. The E350e plug-in hybrid is now locally assembled in Malaysia, priced at just under 400,000 ringgit. That's exactly 100,000 ringgit more than the C350e, and compared to the fully imported E300, this is a full 60,000 ringgit less. Like the plug-in C-Class, it gets a 2-litre turbo engine set to E250 power levels, 211 horsepower and 350 Newton meters of torque. On top of that is an electric motor with 87 HP and 440 Nm. And combined, the total system output is claimed to be 286 horsepower and 550 Newton meters of torque. Some of you may be asking, how come this car has got less torque compared to the C350e? That one has 600 Newton meters, this one just 550 Newton meters of torque. Well, Mercedes-Benz says that's because it's limited to the 9G-tronic that's fitted to this E-Class. The C-Class uses the older but more robust 7G-tronic. 0 to 100 is done in just 6.2 seconds, exactly the same as the E300. But does it actually feel that fast? Well, not quite. The numbers don't lie, of course. When you plant your foot down, you can see the numbers rise up really fast. But as a driver, as passengers, you don't really get that big kick in the back that you do in the standard E300. This is mainly because the power delivery has been smoothened out. In a normal small capacity turbo, you get all that torque in one big kick. For this hybrid, however, the electric motor fills in all the gaps of the engine's torque curve. So what you end up with is a very smooth, very linear power delivery. It's certainly quick, just not very exciting. As for the motor and the battery package, this car has a claimed EV range of 33 kilometers, but in the real world you're looking at just over 20 kilometers. You can also run in full electric mode up to 130 kilometers per hour, but you have to be quite gentle with the throttle. Any sharp inputs and the engine will come to life immediately. But you won't really feel that happening because the transitions have been really smoothened out. It's much better than the C350e. The lithium-ion battery pack is the same as in the C-Class at 6.2 kWh. If you use a domestic power socket, as in your standard 3-pin plug at home, it'll take between 3 to 5 hours to charge. That's not really a problem, we just need to remember to plug in every night before you sleep, just like your mobile phone. But of course, it's a different story if you live in apartments. What you can do is rely on public chargers such as the Charge EV network. Those chargers are a lot more powerful than your home charger, so you can get a full charge in just under 2 hours. But the problem with that is, it requires a separate charging cable which does not come with the car. You need to buy it separately for about 1,000 ringgit. So this car should really come with a warning, charging cable not included. Another option is to not charge the car at all and just treat this vehicle like a regular hybrid, not a plug-in. That's fine, but you won't be getting the full benefits of the plug-in hybrid package, which is extra power from electric motor and improved fuel consumption. On paper, this car is said to consume just 2.1 litres of petrol per 100 kilometers. That's almost 50 kilometers per litre. But as usual, you can't really pay that much attention to all these fuel consumption figures, and especially for PHEVs. See, those test cycles are run over a short distance and time, and for PHEVs, the engine is not even running most of the time. This 2.1 litres per 100 km is pretty much the lowest figure that you can get in the test cycles. Other PHEVs such as the heavier Volvo XC90 T8 and even the BMW i8 sports car has got the same exact number, so you can tell just how legit this number is. In the real world, you can expect to average between 6 to 10 litres per 100 kilometers. That's nowhere near the claimed figure, but still, considering the performance that you can get, that's still very, very impressive. And if your daily commute is not that far away, it's entirely possible to do most of the drive in full EV mode. That's really cool. For this test, we started out in PJ with a full tank of petrol and a fully charged battery pack. We're almost coming up to Ipoh now, and the trip computer says we're averaging around 6.5 litres per 100 km. The battery level has pretty much settled at around 20%. For the purpose of this test, I'm just cruising along following the flow of the traffic, so there's no heavy acceleration or heavy braking. But it's here when you can really tell how smooth the hybrid system is. As soon as I lift off the throttle, the engine turns off and it runs on EV mode. But I don't really feel anything because the transitions are that smooth. When I brake, you don't really feel any unnatural movements, unnatural grabbing on the brakes like you do in the older E300 BlueTech hybrid. It's all very natural. And when I go back on the throttle, the engine turns on immediately, no jerks, no nothing. The hybrid system just works in the background, and that's really, really a good thing. Another major difference in the E350e is the addition of air suspension, or as Mercedes calls it, air body control. The standard E-Class range in Malaysia rides on the agility control suspension, which is the basic passive setup. It's not adaptive, and you can't change between soft or hard. It's always somewhere in between. In other markets, you can change this to a dynamic body control setup, and this adds on electronic adaptive dampers. For this E350e, however, it goes straight to the most advanced option, air body control. And the result? It's fantastic. It's now so much smoother, so much more comfortable than a standard car, especially on highway like this. It really glides over all the undulations as if it's all flat. Now, the standard steel setup has never been all that hard in the first place, but at low speeds, sharper bumps can really unsettle it, especially since Mercedes-Benz Malaysia insists on having such large wheels, such as these 19s on this car with run-flat tyres. But now with air suspension, everything is much more comfortable, and now I think it's more comfortable than the BMW 5 Series. Handling is very similar to the standard car, and that is to say, it's competent and not much more. It's solid, steering is fine, and stability is really good. But if you want fun behind the wheel, you'd want to go for the BMW 5 Series. The point is, there's minimal difference between driving the E-Class with normal suspension or air suspension, and this is not like the C-Class where there's such a big difference between the two. The C-Class with Airmatic feels very floaty, a lot looser compared to the standard car. To me, the E-Class with air suspension feels like a good natural fit, whereas Airmatic doesn't quite match the character of the C-Class. The rest of the car is standard E-Class. You get a beautiful interior with fantastic build quality, very modern and high-tech control and display, and of course, very spacious rear quarters. It's just built for long journeys such as this. And we're here in Penang. It's over 300 kilometers, over 3 hours of drive, and then we're not tired at all. So let's park up and see what the fuel consumption is like. So there you go, PJ to Penang, over 333 kilometers. According to the car, over 50 kilometers were done with the engine turned off. Overall, the E350e managed to do 7 litres per 100 kilometers, and that's over 14 kilometers per litre. For a car of this size and weight, plus 4 adults and luggage, I think that's very impressive. So answering the first question, whether plug-in hybrids can be good for long-distance highways, the answer is definitely yes. If you're going to do a lot of mileage, this car should be on your shortlist. This is me, Hafriz Shah from poltan.org. Thank you for watching.